like I said, we're starting a new split today. Gonna make a detailed video about that in the very near future, but for now what you need to know is today is push A. Push A now is gonna be a primarily pressing day, with the only thing not being an actual compound press. Being the first movement of the day, we're gonna work on the prime pec deck. No working sets here, all sub-maximal effort, 3 to 4 warm-up sets, just to get our shoulders moving, some blood in our chest, get us ready to press. The pressing order today, we're gonna do a dumbbell low incline, a prime incline press, a prime shoulder press, and then a close grip, neutral grip bench press. So like I said, push A has become more of the press day, and we're gonna go over why we did this in addition to all the other changes in a video in the very near future, like I said. But for now, we just got done doing those warm-ups on the prime fly. I've given you the rundown on those before. Really wanna focus on keeping your shoulders locked down and back and not bringing our hands together, but our elbow across our body. The more you get your elbow close to your center line, the harder your pecs contracted. Keep that in mind on the first one. Moving on to the dumbbell presses, and we will kind of give you the rundown on what we're looking to do and the setup and everything when we get over there. All right guys, first up for today is going to be a dumbbell incline press. Because we're going to be going to the prime incline after this, and it's a little bit higher of an incline, making a conscious effort here to work on a lower incline. I know you will ask, how low of an incline? We want it as low as possible with our shoulders staying comfortable, because if I get too flat, start scooping at the bottom, a lot of pressure on my shoulders. So it's typically below where, you know, an adjustable bench will set. So you'll see how we have a 2x4 put in the back, and then actually a D handle in the front to get a little elevation on the seat, because if we have it all the way up, my feet like touch the tippy toes, I can't touch and get good leg drive. So moral of the story is try and get a lower incline. It's definitely going to be lower than a 45-degree incline if you can help it. So things to keep in mind here, just like on the pec deck, starting position, we're trying to get the elbow as far away from the chest. Top of it, we're trying to get the elbow across the chest. With the main caveat being, you don't want to stack the joint. You don't want to be completely locked out to the point where the dumbbell, your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder are all stacked over each other, because at that point you've lost all tension through your chest and it's just simply in your joints. The range of motion we'll be using today is we're looking to get our humerus to break 90 degrees, meaning when we're pressing, you know, obviously this is your humerus, so whenever it hits about 90 degrees parallel to the floor, maybe a little bit lower, that's where we're pressing out of the hole. I don't really want to get a huge, big extension here, and because it's just not a good position for anyone to put themselves in, let alone someone with a surgically repaired shoulder. So that's the thought process behind the range of motion. This exercise, 2 weeks ago is the first time I've done it, probably in like 2 years. We have dumbbells up to 200 now because we were planning on putting presses back in. That being said, still definitely feeling them out and being a little conservative on these, and then full sending on the prime and subsequent presses. Looking to have these up to a full send level of confidence in the very near future though, so take that for it. Alright guys, so just one working set on that incline dumbbell. Like I said, really getting used to the exercise again. If it's any indication as to how much I'm getting used to it. Last time I did the 160s for 8-1, today I did them for 12-1. So that's not because I got stronger in 2 weeks, it's because I'm getting used to the exercise and the movement pattern again. So one working set there, from there moved on to the prime incline. Like I said, started a new split today, so finding my numbers for everything. Normally a top set on that's 4 1/4 on the one peg. Today my top set was 3 1/4 on the one peg and I only hit a 6-1. So, next session we'll adjust that. So that's kind of what you do when you're starting a new split and establishing new numbers. So hit 2 working sets here, the top set at 3 1/4 and then the back off at 3. And moving on to the prime shoulder press now. So we'll do 2 working sets there as well. So 2 movements for chest today. Got 1 pressing movement for shoulders, and then finish up with that closed neutral grip, close grip like I said we would. So looking forward to that. I haven't done that in a while either. So let's get back to it.
What's up, guys? So just finished up training not too long ago. Both of us posed. She had cardio after we trained today. She ate her post meal, I had mine. And we are doing one of our favorite things in the whole wide world to do, and that is go on a prep sushi date. What is a prep sushi date, you may ask?
So, as far as going out to eat when it comes to prep, it can be kind of sketchy, just because cooking it, you don't know what's on the grill, you don't know what's on the pan. So with sushi, obviously it's raw, and you can weigh it, and it's very easy. So basically what we do is we order complete, only tuna sashimi. We weigh it, and then we order the components of sushi as well. So we order our rice, our nori sheets, which is the seaweed that it's wrapped in, cucumbers, green onions, stuff like that, and we'll actually build our own actual sushi rolls here and eat them here, and it's pretty date-like.
It's pretty awesome. So y'all will see how we do it. I'll give you the skinny on how to actually roll them. I forgot my sushi roller, and yeah, we'll get the roller on film too. We'll see how well they handle it. But a couple things to keep in mind if you're gonna come do this. One, do not get sushi rice for your side of rice. Sushi rice, they put a bunch of sugar and like mirin in it and stuff, so not the same as just normal steamed rice. So make sure you get steamed rice, not sushi rice. Second thing to keep in mind is because the fish is raw, unless you're doing everything in your diet in raw weights, if your diet's in cooked weights, make sure you add at least 20% to the weight that you're supposed to eat, because it is raw. And you know, for those of you that haven't actually done it before, like put a piece of fish or chicken on the scale before you cook it and then weigh it after, and it'll typically weigh like 20 to 25% less, obviously, because the moisture cooks out of it. So keep that in mind. But other than that, we'll show you how we do it. If I could get 5 orders of tuna sashimi, 2 sides of steamed rice. You eat a lot of rice, huh?
Yeah, and then Haley has one too, so we'll have it.
Do we have enough with 3? Okay. And then a side of like scallion, the green onion. Then a side of like the cucumbers that you'll use in the rolls, like the long skinny cut ones.
Like cut up or in the...
Just like how they go on the rolls, yeah. And then 10 sheets of nori.
Do you want nori? Get 15.
15. And then let me get a side of sriracha too, or just like bring the bottle, whatever is easier. You want a bunch of ginger?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of ginger.
Did you want sushi rice or...
Steamed rice, for sure, yeah. And that's for both of us.
For a second.
Awesome.
We're trying to make you your best self.
Thank you.
All the tuna. Pretty too. So yeah, now we wait for the rest of our ingredients, and I'll show you the prep creation, and then we'll inhale it all, and that'll be that, because video guys gotta eat too, right? Right, so we got our food. Let me show you what it looks like before I inhale it all. So weighed out the rice, weighed out the fish, added my 20% to the fish, got our sriracha and our cucumbers and onions and stuff. So get a sheet of nori, lay a sheet of nori down. Fish first works best because the rice is super sticky, so the rice helps seals it up. So that's the first little tip or trick for this, is fish first. And then, yeah, just want to get fish down the middle. And then use the old chopstick to pull off some rice.
Too much wasabi.
And then I just like going like this and kind of rolling the rice up into it. Cut the outside a little bit. Get the rice in there.
It'll only get you hungry.
Throw some onions in.
The turkey was like the smell of the nori.
And then give her the rolls.
We're using hands from now on.
I tore that one a little bit, but you get the idea. It's like prep sushi. So I'm gonna inhale all of these, but catch up with you after the meal. What is up, guys? As promised, we are here to deliver the details on the new split. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of what happened, I kind of want to go over the overarching why as to why we changed the split, because the old one was working. Basically, first and foremost, for me, I'm going to live and die this season by how much size I was able to put on my back. So under our old split, we were push, pull, arms, legs, off, repeat, with the only thing that's really changing was the focus on the leg day alternating between hamstrings and quads. Towards the end of us running that split, and especially once we got in the Labrada gym, we really had the pull and the push days to like an A-B variation, so we weren't trying to beat our numbers every 5 days. But still, I was only touching my back every 5 days. I wasn't deadlifting on the hamstring day, we were rack pulling on the pull day, but I was training my back with 6 to 8 working sets once every 5 days. Not a lot of volume. So whenever we originally decided we were gonna make a new split, the first and foremost main goal of it was to increase my back volume. And I think we did that with this, but subsequently being 6 weeks out, something that we really had to pay attention to was not jacking the overall volume way through the roof if you look at like the week as a whole for everything. Obviously, with us wanting to increase the frequency of the back training, the back frequency and the back working sets is going to go up. But outside of the back training, and I'll say outside of the non-spinal loading back training, because we didn't add a ton of spine loaded back exercises, the volume is relatively the same between the old split and the new split. The only thing that really went up is the volume for back. So,
and I think it's important that the order that we have is the same order of exercises. So really what we did was we took the week and we just condensed it a bit. So we're still basically doing push, pull, legs in that order, but it's just condensed in the day. So that's easier for us to manage recovery, and it's recovering the similar.
And then something else that, was really starting to weigh on my conscience, to put it bluntly, was the arm day, while it was a good thing because it brought my arms up, especially after my surgery, and you never have too much arms, it's a body part we were both trying to bring up. It essentially got to the point where we were walking in the gym and doing 4 to 6 working sets for arms.
Not even.
Yeah, so the activity level on the arm day was basically like an off day's level of activity level. Yeah. So we pulled that arm day out, and essentially, like he said, we put some of the arm exercises on our new isolation day. And at this point, biceps for us is 2 working sets on preacher and 2 step-board curls. So that got slapped on the end of one of the back days. And so we completely eliminated a day without reducing the volume or the frequency at all for our arms.
And a lot changed. Like, we didn't realize how much more freedom we had having our own gym, and just the exercise selection is better, and doing exactly the exercises that we want, not having to rig anything up is, it's better. So
for sure,
that's why the arm day too didn't make as much sense anymore, because we can hit the same volume or even more volume if we wanted to with this new split too, because there's multiple places to put the arms, and it didn't make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and also with the hamstrings too. So then the secondary from back was bringing up hamstrings. His quads are so wild. It was really the whole backside, and we were training hamstrings every 10 days. Now it's every 7 days. So needed a little bit more frequency with that, a little bit more frequency with back, and I think we achieved that, and
kept everything else.
And kept everything else pretty much the same with this.
Yeah. Before we get to the nuts and bolts of the split, I guess like one other thing that I'm excited about that I guess is like new for us especially is that isolation day. Yeah. So we have a push day and we have like a push isolation day, meaning on the push day, the push A or B, it's just nothing but pressing variations. Then the isolation push day, there's no A-B variation of that. We're gonna run the same exercises on that day every single time, but it's essentially all the isolation work pulled out of the push day. So it's a very low impact day in terms of, CNS strain, but it's a really, high impact day in terms of, calories burned and, just energy expenditure, which, in my mind, that isolation day kind of replaced the arm day. So that's a really positive in my opinion. But
I didn't realize how much I loved it until we did it also. Yeah. It's a really excellent
It was a fun
day.
workout.
Right.
If I'm going to be blunt with y'all too, and this is, I feel like y'all need to hear this.
Every day's fun.
We aren't robots. We do get bored, and him and I were definitely getting pretty damn bored of doing the same thing day in and day out for like over a year. So don't feel bad if you're a little bored. Maybe, you could try this split for a while, or, try something else. Or you can keep on running shit into the ground, because at the end of the day, that's what works. But I know this is fun for a lot of us too. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the new split. The easiest way for you to follow along for this is going to be to look in the notes of this YouTube video. We have the split laid out the same way we have it up on the whiteboard, but we actually have all the exercises listed under each day. My handwriting's not that good, and I feel like it'd get like way too cluttered and busy if I tried writing all the exercises up there. So follow along on your phone, and we'll kind of go through the thought process behind the days. So getting to the first day is going to be that push isolation day we were just talking about. Like I said, it's one of those days where we just kind of pulled all the isolation movements out from our push day. So on that day, we're going to be doing roller flies, cuff laterals, prime pec deck, the prime lateral, a cuff tricep extension, and then sword draws, which is another tricep extension that's really braced and has an awesome profile. So like I said that day, there's no pressing motions involved. It really is a low impact day in our CNS, but it really is a high yield day in terms of, stimulus that we're able to achieve. And I feel like it also, allows us to increase the frequency on our push muscles because, once again, I went from training push once every 5 days to having 2 push days every 7 days. So over the course of 14 days, I have 4 days where I'm training push instead of just 3 times over 15 days like it is on the old split. So moving on from there to pull A, and I'm going to kind of go through the days subsequently as we go down the line just to kind of keep it, straight. So the pull A is going to be the non-spinal loading back day. We're still kind of playing around with the day a little bit, so there might end up being one, spine loaded row, but we're playing around back and forth with the idea of doing a chest supported dumbbell or just a standing dual dumbbell exercise. But that day is going to be our straight arms, our Nautilus pull downs with the single arm, a single arm cable row, that dumbbell row that I was just talking about, whether it's chest supported or, support us standing with it, that'll be game time
when we
decision.
get closer.
Yeah, as we get closer, it's a good way to manage fatigue too, is take the spine loaded component out of it. From there, because I had mentioned this in a video in the past, that Arsenal Humbler chest supported T-bar row has been tuning my elbow up lately. So we've actually been doing that prime row, but with the seat dropped and a really strong upper back focus, and we're getting a good feel from that. And then from there, talking about eliminating the arm day, we stuck rear delts on the end and then the dumbbell preacher curl and the step forward curl. So this is definitely, the big back day with all the isolation work and not really a lot of compounds, honestly. I know rows are technically compounds, but it's all, very isolated rowing. The pull B day, let me go down to that pull B day. The pull, I guess we decided to run the same pull B day. So pull A and B, these are going to be the same days. We were going to mix them up, but we went through this day for the first time this week, and there were a couple exercises that we thought we were going to like that we really didn't, and him and I, neither of us are people that do things just for the sake of change or being different or muscle confusion. So you know what? We know what we like to do on that day, and we're going to run it into the dirt on both those days. So that's pull A and pull B. You can see it in the comments what the exercises are. Moving on to the quads A, quads B day. The thought process that we had behind the quads A and the quads B day was we wanted one day that is a lot more taxing on our stabilizers, our core, and our lower back. So the quads A day is going to be that day. Actually, just kidding. This is going to be the not spine loaded day. So this is going to be.
Yeah, and if we did do like a barbell row or a dumbbell row, we would put it on this day before we do hacks or.
So this day is either the pendulum or the hack, followed by the hip press or the leg press. Right, and so it's the not
split squats.
Split squats is other day.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the quads B day is the, the more spinal loading free weight exercise day. And for right now, you're right, just kidding. I'm wrong, he's right. Imagine that, it's usually how it works. So yeah, we're going, and now that he said that, we wanted the non-spinal loading compound with the need to stabilize secondary compound, and then vice versa on the other day. So the other day, the quads B day, we're gonna be squatting on that the cambered spider bar from Elite FTS with the wedges, and then from there, because it's that free weight exercise and that bar really taxes your lower back, we're going to go from there to the hip press. Good call. Yeah. So 3 days in a row, and this is another good one. I need to give a shout out to John Jewett. Originally, we had the push days with all the compounds over here. So whenever I sent him the split, because he offered to take a look at it for me, he goes, the thing that I would do is to put that isolation day here at the start of this 3-day stretch, because instead of going all of the CNS taxing compound pressing movements, that huge back day, and then a quad day with compounds before we have an off day, we have that easy on the CNS day followed by the 2 hard days, get an off day before we go into that harder push day, and then the back day with the deadlift. So,
and we have an extra day rest, or an extra, not rest, but extra day before. We have 3 days before the push day instead of 2. Yeah. So it just made a lot more sense. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
It was definitely a good call.
So from there, moving on to the push days, the push A and B day. The A day, we decided we're going to start running incline dumbbell because we have dumbbells up to 200 pounds and we can actually, have some room to run with it and really progress with them. I like that because for the past year and a half, I've really done nothing that isn't a machine. So the stabilization component to it's really good for me, and I feel like it's making my shoulder a lot healthier.
Me
which
too.
Is always good.
My shoulder's starting to get a little wonky, and once we put the dumbbell presses in, it feels a lot better. So
yeah, so going to go from that incline dumbbell that requires a high degree of stabilization to a machine press that requires little to no stabilization in that prime incline. Really like that piece just because we're able to dial in the resistance curve and really push the muscle past failure in a really safe way there. From there, we're going to move on to the prime shoulder press. And then from there, we want to do dips and then the cuff tricep extensions. The dips is a great compound for us. We wanted to have at least something that really taxed our triceps. And, this is a good little example of this, right? So on this push day, whenever we did the cuff extensions at the end, like we have on there, I got, I think 90 for 8 was my top set, but on that isolation day, whenever we did them with no pressing before, I got 110 for 9. So your triceps get hella used on the press day that we have set up in this split. So our thought process was, do one isolation movement at the end to really, really tax them, and then to have that dip in there to really, because we already trained shoulders and chest and we want to train our triceps. So I love dips for, just all of the push muscles.
And that's a body part I'm trying to bring up too. So
yeah.
A little bit extra tricep action.
And then from there, the push B day is going to kind of go the other way. We're going to start with the Arsenal flat that we have. And then from there, move on to the reverse band Smith incline, then the reverse band Smith high incline, and then run dips in that cuff extension again. That reverse band, both incline and high incline, we've run those into the dirt for over a year now. We both connect really well with the exercise, and the Smith machine we have here at the gym is awesome. So definitely a big fan of the reverse band pressing movements. So that pretty much compromises the entirety of the push B day. Moving on to probably the day that's going to make the biggest difference in my physique in the new split, in addition to the frequency, but this actual day, I finally drank Brian's Kool-Aid, and for the first time in 4 years, 7 days ago, I pulled from the ground. I deadlifted, right? So we're going to start pulling on the back and hamstring day. And like I mentioned before, one of the goals of the split was to increase my back frequency. So doing straight arms and then Nautilus one-arm pull-downs, while it really, 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 really taxes my lower lat, systemically it doesn't require a ton of energy. So doing that and getting those extra 3 or 4 working sets in before I go to deadlift, A, I got an extra 3 or 4 working sets on the week for my back, but B, I have my lats primed, full of blood, and really I'm connected well with them. So what you do get in your lats, I feel like we're really maximizing by going from those lat pull downs straight to the deadlifts. And then, today was really my first day, because last time I pulled from the floor, it took the place of rack pulls just because screw it, let's pull from the floor. Today was the first day that we deadlifted and then went and did the hamstrings after, and my hamstrings are so smoked right now, it is not even funny. So really looking forward to having that day in. I think it's going to be a really good thing for both of us. Obviously told you what the goal was with the splits, bring up the entire posterior chain, and that day is the day that's going to do it. I know I have A and B up here, but much like the isolation push day and the pull A and B day, these ended up pretty much being the same exact day. The only difference that might happen is as prep goes on to manage fatigue. If that deadlift really starts slacking me and I'm just feeling like the Walking Dead and not really recovering from it, we'll probably end up pulling the actual deadlift out and put something in like an RDL or something that requires a lot less load and it's a lot more targeted for the hamstrings.
And there's a lot we could play with there.
Yeah.
You know, when we get the band attachments to start doing banded pulls again and snatch pulls, and you know, there's just, you know, a lot to play with that day, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So all in all, we're super stoked about this split. I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you and say it's too early to tell y'all whether or not it's going to be too much. There's a very real possibility there might be, but in the same breath, I'll say we're very in tune with, you know, our recovery and our bodies, and it's got a lot of, you know, spots built in to be able to, you know, feather the volume, you know, back or even forward if I'm recovering from it well. So, you know, all in all, we're both, you know, really excited to start this. I feel like it addresses both of our shortcomings very well. You know, Brian got the increased frequency in the leg training. I got a significant increase in my back training frequency. You know, the arm volume didn't go down at all. So I feel like you really checked all the boxes for both of us.
I absolutely agree. And another thing is, for both Tampa and Olympia, we did deadlift or do some kind of rack banded deadlift every 5 days. So I don't think pulling every 7 days with this is really going to be too much more. Or at least not too much, so we can't manage it.
Yeah, think about too where my food's at now compared to in the past preps too. So I'm
Significantly
eating a
higher.
lot more than I typically am at this point in a prep. So I know while I look, you know, really lean and ahead of schedule, you know, I'm not saying that in a cocky way, it's just facts of the matter. I still feel really good and I have a lot of energy, and we're still very focused on training performance. You know, it's not time for my numbers to be slipping at all. If my numbers do slip, it's not going to be one of those, oh, well, we're just getting deep into prep. It's no, something's up. We need to address it, and we need to figure out why the numbers aren't moving up, because with how much I'm eating right now and how dialed everything is, there's no reason it shouldn't be progressing until like probably 2 weeks out from the show, when we intentionally, you know, throttle it back a little bit. Yeah. So
and also, like, when we made the decision to switch things around when we came into this gym, you know, I know you're a little bit hesitant on it, but it was like, well, this whole prep, we're doing a much better job, and it's because we are making decisions like this, like on the spot this whole time, and that's why you're in your best shape, is because the communication between the two of us. So
yeah.
It's pretty
flying
cool.
by the seat of our pants in a good way.
Well, it's just keeping track of everything, man.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
You know, it's pretty cool too, because, you know, it's the first time that I've ever kept a real logbook in my life. I'll admit, I know I preach progressive overload, but I got a really good memory. So in the past, I was training at enough different gyms to where, you know, like I do an exercise and I'd be like, okay, well, last week I was at gym XYZ, and on their Smith machine with this band set up, I did, you know, this weight for X amount of reps. Well, guess what? It's a different Smith machine. It's a different band. The band's slightly different length. So it would always drive me really crazy to be tracking my numbers knowing there was that kind of variance. So now that that isn't present anymore, you know, like today we were able to look after I did my second set of Nautilus pull down, you're like,
Excellent.
should we do a third working set? Let's flip back to the logbook. You know, we looked in the past week. I matched my reps for the first 2 sets from the last week. So we're like, yep, send it on a third working set. And that working set, I ended up +1ing it from last time. So
From Sunday.
Yeah.
Not even last week, from Sundays.
So that's what we keep in mind. That's what we look at. You know, that's why I'm excited about actually having a logbook. But yeah, all in all, that's pretty much the new split in a nutshell. I know this episode's going to be a really long one, so I think we're going to stop talking now. But as always, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Labrada Nutrition's YouTube so you can get an inside look at when the next one will drop. We're going on 5 weeks now, dropping one once a week, so I don't see that changing from now all the way till the show, both the Olympia and Chicago. And as always, please, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, positive, negative criticisms, you know, you want to tell me how your day was, just leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. If it's something that we can address or do better, we will. If it's questions, we'll do our best to include it in next week's question and answer. And then keep an eye out on my Instagram as well. I will post, you know, like rest day Q&As, and then whenever I know it's a day before I'm going to shoot with John for our YouTube series, I'll actually put, you know, rest day Q&A plus YouTube. So keep an eye out on my Instagram if you want to have your question, make it onto one of the YouTube episodes. But we'll leave y'all with that. As always, appreciate the hell out of y'all's support. Couldn't do this without y'all. I literally get to do what I love for a living because of y'all. So thank you. See you next week.